humanity's greatest pursuit. Since its inception, the United Nations has stood as a beacon of hope, striving to prevent conflict, protect the vulnerable, and build a better tomorrow. United Nations peacekeeping brings together nations, cultures, and forces, uniting them under one mission: peace. From monitoring ceasefires to protecting civilians, peacekeepers safeguard lives and restore dignity where conflict has torn it apart.
4, 5.
The journey began on 29th of May 1948 in Palestine with the UN Truce Supervision Organization. The first step in a mission that continues to this day. Today, 119 nations contribute their soldiers and resources. A true testament to global solidarity. From Africa to Asia, the Middle East to Europe, United Nations peacekeeping has undertaken over 70 missions across the globe, each a story of resilience and cooperation. Despite operational commitments at home, the Indian Army has been a steadfast contributor to global peace. Since 1950, India has participated in 53 of 72 UN peacekeeping missions, deploying nearly 300,000 soldiers, among the largest contributions by any nation. Through courage and sacrifice, 164 Indian soldiers have made the supreme sacrifice under the UN flag, a testament to India's resolve for world peace. Today, over 5,000 Indian peacekeepers serve in 9 missions across the world, including 5 infantry contingents, 11 specialist units, and 188 staff officers and military observers. India has also provided 16 force commanders, divisional commanders, and senior military advisors, shaping the UN's most critical operations. Whenever disaster has struck, Indian contingents have delivered food, water, shelter, and hope to displaced families. Indian medical teams have been a lifeline, conducting medical camps, surgeries, and specialized care for thousands every year. These efforts not only heal but establish sustainable healthcare systems in conflict zones. In rural and conflict-hit regions, Indian troops organize veterinary camps, saving thousands of livestock, protecting livelihoods, and building resilience for local communities. Our engineers rebuild lives, constructing vital infrastructure for a better tomorrow. Indian peacekeepers strengthen local forces through structured training and capacity building initiatives. From skill development programs on health, education, and equality to yoga outreach promoting holistic well-being, Indian peacekeepers build trust and resilience within communities. At the heart of our mission lies the protection of civilians, ensuring safety for the most vulnerable. Female engagement teams of the Indian Army, now deployed across all missions, connect deeply with women and children. From gathering information to assisting in humanitarian crises, they build dialogue, trust, and security where it matters most. To heal invisible wounds of conflict, India has embedded psychological counselors in mission hospitals, bringing care, stability, and hope to affected populations. From clean energy to ecological initiatives, India champions sustainability within UN missions. Empowered by Atmanirbharta, India deploys indigenous vehicles, surveillance systems, and advanced communications in peacekeeping. These self-reliant technologies ensure safety, mobility, and effectiveness, strengthening not just India, but collective global peace. Peace is more than absence of conflict. Through education, empowerment and equality, Indian peacekeepers help rebuild societies on stronger foundations. Enshrined in our civilizational ethos, the world is one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Our peacekeepers embody this eternal philosophy, serving humanity beyond borders. The UN Troop Contributing Countries Chiefs Conclave reaffirms this shared resolve, bringing together nations to strengthen peacekeeping and chart the course of a safer future. Peace is humanity's greatest pursuit. Since its inception, the United Nations
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May we seek your kind cooperation to please settle down and be comfortable. Thank you very much indeed for your hearty presence. Well, this is to reassure you that although we are not sitting in an aircraft and our navigational systems are absolutely intact, however, if we may please request all of you to keep your electronic gadgets on the silent mode. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please note that this event is broadcasted live on the YouTube channel of the Indian Army's Public Relations Wing, ADGPI, that is the Additional Directorate General of Public Information. ADGPI social media channels, namely the X, Meta, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and is also being broadcasted in the mission areas. Dear speakers, kindly note that if you're seated towards the right, please use the right lectern, and if you're seated towards the left, please feel free to use the left lectern for your respective addresses. We'd also request the speakers to kindly note to please adhere to the timelines allotted for their respective addresses, I will be your good timekeeper, and together we ensure that we run the power-packed agenda on time. Thank you again. Once again, a very, very good morning to our distinguished guests, our delegates, ladies and gentlemen who are just walking in. Welcome to the United Nations Troop Contributing Countries Chiefs Conclave, as we heartily welcome each one of you to our country's historic capital, the city of New Delhi, as we say. We are gathered here today at the prestigious Manekshaw Center, ladies and gentlemen, named after the valiant Field Marshal, as you see towards my right, as you see, the Field Marshal SHFJ Manekshaw, Padma Vibhushan, known for his legendary military leadership, as you've seen right there. This conference promises to be a landmark experiential event in establishing UN's long-standing commitment to global peace and stability. And as I welcome each one of you today, I'm reminded of how it is often said that there are three ways in which we learn wisdom. First is by reflection, ladies and gentlemen, which is considered to be the noblest. The second is by imitation, which is perhaps the easiest. And the third is by experience, which is, in fact, the bitterest. Today, we will learn wisdom by the noblest and also the experience sharing means. India's contribution to peacekeeping is indeed reflective of its cultural values, ethical foreign policy, and commitment, as I say, to the global peace and security. The focus today, with your esteemed and very kind presence, is to foster harmony, cooperation, and march towards a stable international order, as we would like to believe that we are in this together. As you all settle in and take your places, keeping your electronic gadgets on the silent mode, this conclave of the Army Chiefs of Troop Contributing Countries, may I say, is not just a meeting of the military leaders. It is indeed a sentiment, I must say, as India is proud to host this gathering, as we together look forward to these 3 days of very fruitful deliberations, the cultural exchanges, and also the renewed commitment to peace and stability. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining. For all the delegates who've just walked in, this is to let you know that the event is being broadcasted live on the YouTube channel of the Indian Army's Public Relations. It is known as ADGPI. Please note ADGPI. That is the Additional Directorate General of Public Information. The ADGPI social media channels are also active with the live broadcast. We are active on X, Meta, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And this is also broadcasted, in fact, in the mission areas as well, with your very emboldening presence indeed. Thank you. Dear speakers, once again kindly note that we will request you for your respective addresses to please adhere to the timelines, and also for your respective address, if you're seated towards the right, you may please proceed to deliver your address from the right lectern, and if you're seated towards the left, you may please proceed towards the left lectern from which I am delivering my note. Thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, in the meanwhile, I would like to draw your attention towards the screen that you see on the stage right out there, which gives you the glimpses of all the happenings up till now. You may please watch out. On that note, I'll just like to hand it over to my colleague for a couple of seconds.
Jain sir, I'll just take a few moments to brief everybody about the headsets. Those are placed in front of the desks. The headset is connected with a receiver, a rectangular receiver, longest receiver, remote-like, which has a power button on the front. You can press the power button for 3 to 4 seconds. It will switch on. There's a small screen on the top. It will switch on and it will show you the channel number. Onto the left of the receiver is the volume slider. You can check the volume using the volume slider. Onto the right is the channel changer. You can change to the channel of the respective languages, which are flashed on the standees onto the left and the right of the stages. Channel number 1 will be English, which will be the floor language for the complete event. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that important briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, you may continue looking at the screens that do highlight the glimpses of the curtain raiser, the reception, and of course, the warmth that has been experienced till now for this conclave. And yes, we will continue with the momentum and get started formally with the program for the day in just a few minutes from now. as I see these glimpses, I must also say that the might in the will is more than the vigor. I want to try, I want to lead. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming together and, in fact, leading with this conclave that will just formally begin in a few minutes from now on. We are in this together, and rightly so. After all, it is said that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you would want to go far, go together. And that is the spirit of togetherness that we are celebrating with your lit presence indeed. Once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have all the respected chiefs entering. As we formally begin, we will now have all our respected chiefs entering the Ashoka Hall, and they will shortly take their places in the Chiefs' Alley. Well begun, they say, is half done. We await the presence of all the chiefs as they are just about to enter this hall, after which we may formally begin with the program. Ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned, it is that time of the morning where we have all our respected chiefs who are just about to enter. Ladies and gentlemen, we receive and greet all the respected chiefs who are entering the Ashoka Hall and are just about to shortly take their places in the Chiefs' Alley. Thank you very, very much to all the respected chiefs. Thank you indeed for your esteemed presence here with us as we are just about to formally commence the proceedings. Thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, a very good morning, namaste, namaskaram, swagatam, suswagatam, to all the chiefs of armies, Under Secretary General of the United Nations, distinguished military leaders from the friendly foreign countries, and members of the media, and all you ladies and gentlemen. In India, we say Atithi Devo Bhava, which is an ancient saying that means that we treat our guest with utmost reverence and care, and this reflects the nation's tradition of hospitality. I am your master of ceremonies. My name is Shikha Singh, and I must say that today, as we greet all of you, we are delighted and ignited to be welcoming you to the Chiefs Conclave for the United Nations Troop Contributing Countries hosted by the Indian Army. Well, in the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the former President of India and a scientist, a distinguished scientist who often spoke about the power of dreams and vision, ladies and gentlemen. I quote, as he said, "Thinking is the capital, enterprise is the way, and hard work is the solution." As we have our guests coming in and settling down, I must say that this conclave celebrates the presence of 32 countries. This is indeed the beginning of an idea and enriching journey where we all come together to learn, to think, and to collaborate. To learn on the theme of capacity building and resource mobilization for sustainable UN peacekeeping operations, aiming to reinforce the collective commitment to international peace and security as we continue to embrace the ethos of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the world is one country, one family. India has always considered peacekeeping as its moral and strategic duty, ladies and gentlemen, rooted in our commitment to shared prosperity. This conclave will strengthen multilateralism and reaffirm our joint responsibility to uphold the values of the United Nations. Thank you so much once again to all of you for indeed being in this together. Let's now have a look at the screens to glance through the agenda of this very futuristic conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, this is to reiterate that this event is broadcasted live on the YouTube channel of the Indian Army's Public Relations Wing, ADGPI, that is the ADG of Public Information, and also the ADGPI social media channels, namely X, Meta, Instagram, WhatsApp, and is also broadcasted in the mission areas as well. Well, as you glance through, without any ado, let's embark on this critical agenda to forge the actionable insights. To now render the welcome address, ladies and gentlemen, to you all, may I now invite a leader who knows the way, who shows the way, and also goes the way. May I humbly request the Chief of the Army Staff of Indian Army, General Upendra Dwivedi, Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, to please step forward to the dais to set the tone for this momentous gathering. General, please.
Good morning, bonjour, shubh khair. Shri Jean-Pierre Lacroix, Under Secretary General for Peace Operations, Ambassador Parvtaneni Harish, Permanent Mission of India, distinguished chiefs and representatives of troop contributing countries, esteemed guests, members from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a profound honor to welcome you all to this landmark conference of United Nations peacekeeping troop contributing countries. Since 1948, peacekeeping has stood as a beacon of hope for millions, upholding peace, stability, and human dignity in regions marked by conflict. As the second UN Secretary General, Dag Hammarskjöld aptly put it, peacekeeping is not a soldier's job, but only a soldier can do it. Peacekeeping represents the most visible manifestation of the UN Charter's call to maintain international peace and security. In this spirit, your presence here reinforces the collective resolve of nations to ensure that peace remains not just an aspiration, but a lived reality for those in need. Whenever I am amongst the blue helmets, my thoughts travel back to 1993-94, when I was deployed as a young major as part of UNISOM 2. Serving alongside the peacekeepers, and if I can recall correctly, the countries that time were Bangladesh, France, Italy, Malaysia, Morocco, Nepal, Nigeria, and Uganda. 8 of these countries are represented here today. It was indeed one of my proudest moments in uniform. That experience taught me the enduring strength of solidarity, where different nations, cultures, and languages came together under the single flag of peace. Today, this conference builds on that same spirit as we welcome the leadership of 32 troop contributing nations who together provide nearly 2/3 of all peacekeepers deployed worldwide. Truly, it's an assembly that reflects both pride and purpose. India, as one of the largest contributors to peacekeeping, has sent approximately 300,000 men and women across 51 missions out of the total 71 peacekeeping missions of the United Nations. These include our early deployments in Korea, that is 1950, Congo, 1960, to the current deployment of 9 out of 11 ongoing missions. While our troops have served with unflinching resolve, we have also gained invaluable experience which we are always willing to share with everyone. The Center for United Nations Peacekeeping in New Delhi, upgraded as a National Center of Excellence, has hosted many of your officers to engage on peacekeeping functions, thus fostering shared understanding and building interoperability. Hosting this conference in India is not only a privilege, but also a reaffirmation of our shared determination to strengthen cooperation and carry forward the noble mission of global peace. It also reflects Indian ethos of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, the word is one family, and that of Vishwabandhu, India as a friend to all. So friends, peacekeeping today faces challenges of unprecedented scale and complexity. The global order is almost an inflection point, marked by over 56 active conflicts and the involvement of nearly 90 nations. The infusion of disruptive technologies, the growing influence of non-state actors, hybrid warfare, and the scourge of disinformation have blurred the traditional boundaries of conflict. Shifting geopolitical currents strain the spirit of consensus that underpins cohesive United Nations action. Such realities demand more resilient, swift, and unified responses that only peacekeepers working together can deliver. A peacekeeper, apart from being a security provider, is a diplomat, a technology enthusiast, a nation builder in far-flung areas, and also may be the only media for flow of information in conflict zones. The blue helmet, or casque blue, can in fact be called the glue that binds a mission and facilitates the functioning of the other organs of United Nations as also the NGOs. Given this crucial role of peacekeepers, we have no choice but to be future ready, which may require bold imagination and practical adaptation. Reduced funding for UN missions will be a reality, and thus missions have to be planned with lesser boots on ground and more reliance on technology and innovation. With reduced numbers on ground, we could also visualize that UN peacekeeping moving more towards preventive diplomacy and sustainable peace building, not just armed presence. That is where militaries can contribute in negotiations. I believe there is a West African proverb which was used by President Roosevelt: speak softly and carry a big stick, you'll go far. While diplomats and interlocutors try and unravel a conflict, the presence of the proverbial stick in the same room can surely catalyze the process. However, the underlying and non-negotiable principle of neutrality shall and must prevail. Interchangeability, chapters 6 and 7. Many chapter 6 missions, which have become more complex, and peacekeepers have to perform in conditions which necessitate Chapter 7. We may need to evolve concepts which permit interchangeability for limited durations or situations from Chapter 6 to 7 and then reverse also, that is back. Also, our tactics, technologies and procedures and the equipment should so evolve that a Chapter 6 mission is already a 6.5 type by virtue of deterrence value. Evolution of the functioning of U1 to U9 officers in the all UN headquarters will result in delayering, transparency and responsiveness of the peacekeepers. So we must integrate advanced technology into operations, enhance rapid deployment capabilities and foster interoperability among contributing nations. Collaborative training and innovative resource management will be essential to sustain missions in the long run. Together, we must build a framework that is both robust and responsive. Distinguished colleagues, the United Nations moral authority rests on human connection, and troop contributing countries must reinforce it by sharing best practices and harmonizing operational doctrines. Only then can we respond decisively to crises wherever and whenever they arise. Our unity is our greatest strength. This conference offers us a unique platform to deliberate on these challenges, share experiences, and learn from each other. It provides an opportunity to refine collaboration, enhance operational effectiveness, and improve interoperability. India, for its part, remains committed to contributing this collective effort. We also showcase indigenous equipment designed for peacekeeping operations, and we are prepared to share such capabilities with interested partners. In the same vein, we are also ready to adopt best practices from all countries. By learning together and working together, we will ensure that our peacekeeping remains strong, capable, and effective. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to approach our deliberations with unity, vision, and purpose. Let's together ensure that our efforts leave a lasting imprint on humanity. Let's reaffirm our shared resolve that the peace must prevail over conflict and compassion must triumph over division. Allow me to conclude by quoting Albert Einstein: "Peace cannot be kept by force, it can only be achieved by understanding." Thank you. Jai Hind.
General Dwivedi, thank you very much for welcoming us with such warmth, sharing your vision for this gathering, and also wishing us success for our shared endeavors indeed. Dear esteemed leaders, fueling this future forward initiative that is all set to foster global collaboration, exchange of knowledge and innovation, we are now, I must say, deeply honored to invite on stage the one whose career has been such a hallmark of excellence. For the upcoming address, please help me welcome, please join me in welcoming on stage the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations, Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix. Mr. Lacroix, very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. Over to you.
Thank you very much, moderator. General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of Army Staff, Indian Army. Excellency Ambassador Pavataneni Harish, the Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations. Chiefs of Army Staff, Generals, Officers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to participate in the first Army Chiefs Conclave of UN troop contributing countries, and I thank the Indian Army for the invitation to speak and address you today. I really thank India for bringing together what I call the family of peacekeeping. Over roughly 8 decades, UN peacekeeping, which is one of the UN flagship activities, have achieved demonstrable success in core objectives, such as promoting stability, observing ceasefire, and protecting people. The list, as we know, is very long of countries which successfully reach stability with the support of peacekeeping. And as we speak today, our peacekeepers, your peacekeepers, protect people. They make the difference between life and death for hundreds of thousands of civilians. They monitor ceasefire. They help build key capabilities. Their role is indispensable, and their achievement need to be acknowledged. UN peacekeeping benefits from global support, and this was demonstrated by the participation of many ministers, many senior generals, many senior officials from around the world at the latest peacekeeping ministerial meeting that was held in Berlin, when more than 135 member states participated. And I wish to thank India for its participation and pledges. For decades, India has been one of the most outspoken and constant supporters of UN peacekeeping operation, and it has consistently been amongst the largest contributors to UN peacekeeping, with over 5,000 personnel currently deployed. So we must pay tribute to the peacekeepers, both from India and from other countries, from your countries, for their service, and particularly recognize and honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice while serving under the blue flag of the United Nations. Generals, Excellency, colleagues, this meeting is particularly timely. We all know that we are facing a number of significant challenges, and the only way to successfully address them is through a collective, partnership-based approach. These challenges are of three natures, essentially: political, operational, and financial. The political challenge is evident. The international community is divided. The appetite, as a result of that, the appetite for collective responses to crisis is diminishing. And, of course, the support to peace efforts is less strong and less united. So we need to get together and call for more unity. I know it's very aspirational, but at the same time, our job is essentially political. We need to get together and rally in calling for a more united support, not only to peacekeeping, but also to the political processes that are associated to every single peace operation. Now, the second challenge, obviously, is operational. The environment in which peacekeeping operations are working has deteriorated, both from the political point of view, but also from the security point of view. We're facing emerging drivers of conflict, such as the impact of climate change, the role of international and global terrorism, or the question of the role of enablers, technological enablers, the negative aspect of digital technology. So these increasingly challenging operational environments require a continuous review and development of training standards and materials. And we're working collectively to develop training packages to address such threats as explosive hazards and mis- and disinformation, hate speech, and also we're currently updating the core pre-deployment training material. We rely on your work as troop contributing countries in contributing subject matter experts and hosting trainings of trainers, particularly when it comes to convening critical topics such as critical topics such as protection of civilians, community engagement, or conflict-related sexual violence. In times of resource constraints, collaborative and innovative solutions are essential to bridging the gap between needs and available means. The UN, the troop contributing countries, the capacity building partners must strive to reduce duplication, foster cooperation, and maximize the impact of existing resources. In our sister department, the Department of Operations Support, which is headed by a very distinguished citizen of India, my friend and the Secretary General Atul Khare, multilateral training partnerships such as the Triangular Partnership Program, or TPP, continue to gain momentum by harnessing member state and troop contributing country peacekeeping expertise, including from India and other member states present today. I would just highlight a few key areas, what I believe are key areas of training as we move forward, for which we will continue to need your support. Expertise in digital technology, obviously, data. Expertise in communication, because we need to better communicate on the added value of our peacekeepers on the ground. And of course, stepping up the efforts to train more women peacekeepers, because we do believe certainly that more women in peacekeeping means a more effective peacekeeping. Now the other challenge is a financial one. It's not new, but it's more daunting than ever. Our Secretary General informed the troop and police contributing last week, as well as the Security Council, that he has decided to request all missions under the peacekeeping budget to identify a reduction in expenditures equal to 15, that is 15% of the 25-26 budget. These reductions in expenditures will include all areas, uniform components, civilian staff, and operations. We will need to repatriate around 25% of peacekeeping troops and their equipment. Unfortunately, we do not have a choice but to implement these reductions, which are due to the partial non-payment by some member states of their contributions. And we are currently sharing with all troop contributing countries information about the impact on their individual contribution. We need your understanding and support, but we also need to work together to redress that situation. Your advocacy, our collective advocacy will be absolutely essential. The advocacy with all member states so that all of them pay in full and on time their contribution to peacekeeping. Your advocacy to help counter campaigns that spread mis- and disinformation about peacekeeping operation in countries in which we operate, and at the same time highlight the added value, the indispensable added value of your peacekeepers. Continue speaking to the value of peacekeeping with your partners. Help us push for stronger political support for current and future missions. General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the UN is marking its 80th anniversary while standing at a pivotal juncture in reimagining its peacekeeping operations. We are now collectively undertaking a review of the future of all forms of UN peace operation that it was requested in the Pact for a Future, which was adopted by member states. This offers a timely opportunity to align peacekeeping operations with the evolving nature of conflict dynamics and political realities, allowing them to be better fit for the future. The Action for Peacekeeping initiative and its implementation strategy, Action for Peacekeeping Plus, have galvanized collective support to strengthen peacekeeping through shared commitments. The next phase of this initiative will be launched by early 2026, and of course, we will be discussing with you the key priorities. I would like to highlight some of them as we move forward. First, performance. Measures to strengthen organizational performance, conduct and accountability are critical to further strengthen UN peacekeeping, and performance is a collective responsibility. It's about improving our own performance as UN Secretariat, it's about improving the performance of our peacekeepers, about how we improve collectively the way in which we work in an integrated manner. We are regularly updating and revising the integrated peacekeeping performance and accountability framework. The military unit evaluation system was improved and piloted this year, and we have also begun formal recognition of military and police units for their outstanding performance. And I would like to reiterate my appreciation to our troop contributing countries, certainly including India, for their close collaboration and support in this area. We will continue to implement measures to ensure that all personnel, both uniform and civilians, maintain the highest standards of conduct. Achieving this commitment requires that personnel are fully trained on expectations related to their conduct according to the UN standard. Second priority is cost effectiveness, which General Dwivedi, you mentioned. In addition to the liquidity conservation measures that were announced last week, peacekeeping missions have been prioritizing efforts to improve cost effectiveness by fostering a culture of efficiency in both budget requests and resource utilization. This is in line with the Secretary General's UN80 initiative, with the aim of adapting what we call the peace and security pillar of the United Nations to be lean, agile, and field-focused, delivering impact across mission and non-mission settings. Here again, I would like to highlight the role of technology, of new methodologies, to not only improve the work we do, but also improve the cost effectiveness. Clearly, again, as you mentioned, General Dwivedi, we will have limited resources as we move forward. It's a fact. We have to deal with it, and we have to address effectively this situation. The role of technology will be important. The role of improving our methodology will be also essential. I believe that together we need to look at the various areas in which we can improve cost effectiveness without degrading the effectiveness of our work. Now, in conclusion, I believe that readiness is key. We cannot predict exactly what kind of peacekeeping operation the Security Council may mandate in the years ahead, what kind of task, what kind of combination of tasks we will be given. The history of peacekeeping, as we all know, is one of ups and downs and ebbs and flows. We have experimented already a number of pretty much all combination of capacities, various mandates, various types of partnership. I believe that collectively we have been able to adapt to the expectations and requests depending on the diversity of crisis. But we have to be ready. That is something that we can do collectively, drawing on decades of collective experience and expertise from member states, from troop and police contributing countries to adapt to new needs as they arrive. And one thing is absolutely clear: to be prepared for the future, we must prepare today. The challenges ahead are real, but so is our capacity to meet them. We stay united in purpose, pragmatic in action, and unwavering in our commitment to peace. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakwa, for your insightful and an inspiring address indeed. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is emphatically set for the plenary session, where the chiefs and representatives will come forward and share their perspectives on strengthening the peacekeeping frameworks and enhancing operational effectiveness. The sequence of address by the chiefs for the plenary one is displayed right there on the screens. And with that, I hope we are all set to welcome our first speaker, Lieutenant General Batu Shering, the Chief Operations Officer, Royal Bhutan Army. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of the Army Staff, Indian Army, Your Excellencies, distinguished Chiefs of the Army, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I bring warm greetings from His Majesty, the King of Bhutan, and the prayers of the people of Bhutan for peace, harmony, and progress in our world. It is a great honor for me and my delegation to join this historic Army Chiefs Conclave of UN troop contributing countries. I thank General Dwivedi and the Indian Army for the warm hospitality and creating this important platform. It is fitting that the conclave is hosted by India, one of the largest and most consistent troop contributing countries in the history of UN peacekeeping. India's contribution to peacekeeping are exceptional, not only in terms of numbers, but also in terms of leadership, sacrifice, and innovation. India's long and active role continues to inspire us and uphold peacekeeping as a noble act of collective security. Excellencies, we gather at a time when peacekeeping faces new and complex challenges. Terrorism, non-state actors, climate change, discrimination, and financial constraints. In this condition, the role of UN peacekeepers is more vital, but also more challenging than ever. The theme of this conclave, capacity building, resource mobilization for sustainable peacekeeping, is both timely and forward-looking. At a time of global uncertainty, our collective wisdom and cooperation are more important than ever. For Bhutan, UN peacekeeping is a reflection of our deepest national value: compassion, discipline, and service. We regard it not only as an international obligation, but as a profound moral responsibility to safeguard peace and contribute to the global well-being of humanity. In this regard, Bhutan has deployed a military contingent and experts to UN peace missions, consistently meeting and professional standard and discipline, adopted clean energy in the field, enforced zero tolerance for sexual exploitation and abuse, increased participation of witness women in peacekeeping. Recently at the UN Peacekeeping Ministerial in Berlin, Bhutan pledged a quick light reaction force, new training partnership, and greater investment in the well-being of peacekeepers. Excellencies, peacekeeping is not a responsibility of a few. It is a shared endeavor. Allow me to suggest 3 areas where our collective efforts can make a difference. Training and exchanges to raise collective readiness, partnership for resources in logistic, technology, and medical support. Future peacekeeping must use technology wisely, adopt greener practices, and increase women leadership and participation in peace efforts to keep effective for today's challenges. In closing, I extend my deepest appreciation to Indian Army and General Dwivedi for their vision and leadership in bringing us together for this historic conclave. I reaffirm Bhutan's commitment to work closely with all troop-contributing countries to keep the UN peacekeeping strong, inclusive, and impactful. Together, let us ensure that UN peacekeeping remains not only a symbol of hope, but also an effective force for more peaceful and secure world. Thank you and Tashidre.
Lieutenant General Shering, thank you very much for your inclusive address. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now welcoming on stage Major General Jean-Claude Niburana, the Chief of Land Force, Burundi National Defense Force. We warmly welcome you, sir. Thank you.
The Under Secretary General, the Indian Army Chief, distinguished Army Chiefs, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor and a privilege to stand before you at this meeting that brings together Army leaders from across the globe. Allow me to begin by expressing my deep gratitude to our hosts for their warm welcome and exceptional hospitalities extended to us. The excellent arrangements have created a perfect environment for constructive discussions on a theme that defends the future of peacekeeping, capability building, and resource mobilization for sustainable peacekeeping operations. This conclave represents a platform to strengthen cooperation and partnership in pursuit of global peace and security. My country takes immense pride in our commitment to the global stability. Since 2006, we have actively contributed troops and military observers to UN and regional peacekeeping missions in some of the world's most challenging environments, such as the Central African Republic, Somalia, and Sudan. In those conflict areas, our soldiers stand shoulder to shoulder with yours in pursuit of stability. We convene at a time when a peacekeeping mission operates in increasingly complex environment characterized by fragile political agreement, multiple armed groups that exploit new technologies, the rise of the terrorism and transnational organized crime, and effective of climate change. The effectiveness of sustainability of peacekeeping operations in these increasingly demanding conditions depends on our ability to anticipate and adapt. As Army leaders, it is our duty to prepare our soldiers not only for today's threats, but also for tomorrow's challenges through a comprehensive training programs, modern equipment and doctrine that evolve as rapidly as threats we face. The safety and effectiveness of our peacekeeping depend on our commitment to this duty. Adaptation alone is not sufficient without adequate resources. We cannot ask our peacekeepers to accomplish increasingly complex mission without providing them the tools they need to succeed and survive. The security and safety of peacekeeper depends on protective equipment, enhanced situational awareness, communication network that cannot be compromised, and intelligence capability that keep pace with asymmetric threats. Acquiring modern protective equipment, cutting-edge surveillance systems, and advanced communication systems to face new challenges requires substantial resources. Yet available funds to sustain peacekeeping missions are under pressure. Today, as never before, the international solidarity and the collective effort are much needed to adequately fund peacekeeping operations. Distinguished audience, with collective will and commitment, we can overcome financial challenges and provide peacekeepers with adequate equipment and support. Thank you for your kind attention.
Major General Burana, thank you very, very much. We now invite General Alimshed Degev Balcha, the Chief of Land Force and Military Advisor, Ethiopia.
Your Excellency General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of the Army Staff of India, Mr. Under Secretary General, distinguished Chief of Armies, distinguished Chief of Senior Military Officers, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good morning. It is a profound honor and a privilege for me to represent the Ethiopian Defense Force at this distinguished Army Chiefs Conclave of the United Nations troop contributing countries held in the historic and friendly nation of India. At the outset, on the behalf of the Ethiopian Defense Forces, allow me to convey my sincere appreciation to the Army, the government, and the people of India for their warm hospitality and excellent arrangements made for this important gathering. This conclave reflects India's enduring commitment to to multilateral cooperation, international peace, and the noble ideals of the United Nations. Excellencies, Ethiopia takes immense pride in its long-standing and distinguished record in global peacekeeping. As one of the founding members of the United Nations, Ethiopia has remained steadfast in upholding the principles and purpose of the UN Charter. The United Nations Command deployed 1 battalion of Ethiopian troops to the Korean Peninsula in 1951, making the beginning of our nation's engagement in peacekeeping. The courage, discipline, and professionalism demonstrated by Ethiopian troops during the Korean War earned international respect and set a foundation for Ethiopia's enduring legacy in UN peacekeeping operations. Since then, the Ethiopian Defense Force has continued to serve with distinction in numerous United Nations and African Union peacekeeping missions, including Rwanda, Liberia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Abyei, Sudan, where Ethiopia served as the sole troop contributor, and in Somalia as well. Through these operations, the Ethiopian Defense Force has developed extensive operational experience, institutional knowledge, and professional expertise, consistently demonstrating commitment to peace, stability, and international cooperation, demonstrating impartiality, discipline, and unwavering commitment to the protection of civilians. Ethiopian peacekeepers have gained the trust of local communities and international partners, alike reflecting the highest standards of the United Nations peacekeeping principles. Excellencies, the Ethiopian Defense Force deeply values its historic and enduring relationship with the Indian Army. Our defense partnership is founded on mutual respect, shared values, and a long-standing commitment to regional and international peace. This partnership was initiated by His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie during his state visit to India, where he observed Indian defense institutions and sought to strengthen Ethiopian military capabilities. Following this historic visit, India provided invaluable assistance in establishing the Harar Military Academy, which became the cornerstone of professional military education and training in Ethiopia. Over the decades, this collaboration has expanded to include training exchange, technical assistance, and continuous professional engagement, reflecting the enduring strength of our bilateral defense relations. Excellencies, the contemporary global security environment is increasingly complex and dynamic. Challenges such as asymmetric warfare, terrorism, violent extremism, cyber threats, regional instability, and humanitarian crisis demand not only courage and professionalism, but also enhanced collaboration and unity of purpose among troop contributing countries. From Ethiopian perspective, there are 3 strategic priorities for strengthening the effectiveness and credibility of United Nations peacekeeping. First, enhancing interoperability, joint training, and shared operational planning among troop contributing countries. Harmonized standards, joint exercise, and mutual understanding are crucial to operational success and to achieving unified objectives in this field. Second, improving logistical coordination, intelligence sharing, and rapid deployment mechanisms. Timely and well-coordinated action not only ensure mission efficiency, but also safeguards the lives of our peacekeepers. Third, giving highest priority to the welfare, safety, and morale of our peacekeepers who serve selflessly in difficult and often volatile environments. Their professionalism and dedication exemplify the human dimensions of our collective commitment to peace. Excellencies, Ethiopia firmly believes that peacekeeping is not solely about preventing conflict. It is about building trust, fostering reconciliation, supporting governance, and enabling societies to recover and prosper. The Ethiopian National Defense Force remains committed to continuing its contribution to UN peacekeeping operations, strengthening partnerships with fellow troop contributing countries, and sharing its institutional experience in areas such as civil-military coordination, protection of civilians, and post-conflict stabilization. Our collaboration with India in particular continues to serve as a model of enduring bilateral defense partnership rooted in shared values, historical ties, and a common vision for regional and global stability. Ethiopia looks forward to deepening this cooperation for the mutual benefit of our nations and the international community. In conclusion, allow me to once again convey Ethiopia's sincere appreciation to the government and people of India for hosting this important conclave and for their long-standing and exemplary contribution to United Nations peacekeeping. May the deliberations of this conclave strengthen our shared resolve, unity of purpose, and collective commitment to enhancing the effectiveness, adaptability, and sustainability of UN peacekeeping operations for the benefit of global peace and security. I thank you.
General Bajwa, thank you so much for echoing your warm thoughts. On that note, Brigadier General Manoa Driwakamaka Gadai, Commander Joint Task Force Command Fiji, is requested now to deliver his address. We warmly welcome you as well, sir.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Bolovinaka, Namaste, and a very good morning to you all. At the outset, please allow me to acknowledge the presence of the United Nations Under-Secretary General for the Department of Peace Operations, His Excellency Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix, and our most gracious hosts, the Indian Armed Forces, led by the Chief of Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, for their warm hospitality and excellent work for hosting this auspicious event. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of the distinguished Chiefs of Defense and delegates from the various troop contributing countries represented here today. It is both an honor and my solemn duty to stand before you and speak on behalf of those who wear the blue helmet, the brave men and women who embody the ideals of peace, often at the cost of their own lives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I rise today not merely to contribute to this important conclave, but to speak sincerely from my heart on behalf of all UN peacekeepers who stand at the world's most dangerous front lines, confronting injustice, extremism, and conflict in the pursuit of peace, security, and shared prosperity. I speak to you today as a peacekeeper and as a representative of a nation that has given much in the service of international peace and security. Fiji, a nation of just less than 1 million people, is among the top contributors of UN peacekeeping troops in the world when measured per capita. That has carried the weight of global peacekeeping far beyond our smaller size. But our service has not come without pain and sacrifice. I started my UN peacekeeping duties way back in UNIFIL in 1989. Unfortunately, little or minimal changes has been done to change our UN mandates to confront the real threats and challenges faced by our UN peacekeepers on the ground. The United Nations mandates, especially the UNDOF mandate, has become vague, restrictive, and politically compromised to what is happening on the ground. They limit our troops, they weaken our missions, and too often they cost lives. I recall in August 2014, our Fijian battalion paid a heavy price. 45 of our soldiers were taken hostage by an al-Nusra terrorist group while upholding UNDOF mandate that gave them no clarity, no authority, and no protection. The result was tragic. Our troops were caught between the expectations of the divisive UN Security Council resolution and the realities of the Syrian war on the ground. That sad experience left deep scars on our soldiers, on their families, and my beloved nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to say this very clearly. A politically diluted mandate and without flexibility is a danger to every peacekeeper. It limits our ability to act. It erodes the credibility of the UN and puts lives of our UN peacekeepers at risk. We have witnessed the devastating power of terrorist groups when they are taken for granted. Their deliberate efforts to undermine our civilization, our democracy, and the peace and prosperity we cherish are relentless. They exploit and manipulate innocent civilians and even misuse places of worship, schools and hospitals to spread fear, hatred, and their extremist ideologies. Such threats must be confronted decisively and lawfully under a clear UN mandate to protect innocent civilians, uphold the rule of law, and defend the values and principles that unite us under the UN Charter. Should the situation permit and the UN peacekeeping force be deployed in a new UN field mission, possibly in Gaza, it is imperative that we draw critical lessons from our past experiences under the UNIFIL and UNDOF mandates. We must not repeat the same structural and operational weaknesses and limited the effectiveness of those UN mandates. Secondly, the force commanders and TCC commanders in the field or in the UN mission areas must be trusted with greater operational freedom and authority. They are the ones confronting threat groups, negotiating under fire, and managing crisis in real time. Decisions delayed by layers of bureaucracy means lives cost on the ground. We must return to the basic principles that those who command in UN field missions should be empowered to decide and act decisively. Thirdly, the current tariff restrictions imposed by the US and the dire security situations in the Gaza has restricted our procurement capabilities. It is unacceptable that TCC in the Middle East cannot even source basic equipment, ammunition, or logistic support from host or neighboring countries like Israel. Given now the war in Gaza is over, I humbly request our UN headquarters in New York to please allow TCC to procure equipment and ammunition from Israel to ensure operational readiness and cost efficiency. Peacekeeping cannot function on delayed shipments and bureaucratic approvals from nations far away from UN field missions in the Middle East. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me also stress two urgent matters that can no longer be ignored. One, intelligence sharing and situational awareness must be prioritized. We cannot send troops into hostile environments with limited intelligence and expect huge strategic outcomes. The use of technology in countering threats in UN missions, technology enhances our ability to detect, deter, and respond to threats. Drones and sensors improve early warnings. Such secure communication and artificial intelligence strengthen coordination and threat assessment. Strong cybersecurity measures protect mission data. Together, these technologies enable peacekeepers to act decisively, safeguard civilians, and maintain the mission integrity against emerging threats. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, peacekeeping has evolved. The UN field missions we operate in are complex, asymmetrical, and politically volatile. Yet, the mandates, the authorities, and the equipment we are given remain less effective. Our troops deserve clarity of purpose, freedom of action, and assurance of support. Every time the UN hesitates to act, a peacekeeper stands exposed. Every time a mandate is left ambiguous, a soldier's life hangs in the balance. We have lost too many. We have sacrificed too much. Therefore, I respectfully urge the United Nations to revisit the very foundation of peacekeeping, its mandates, its command structures, its procurement systems and processes, and its accountability to those who we truly serve. To conclude, let us remind ourselves that peace is not maintained by politics. It is maintained by people, by us, the TCCs, especially the brave men and women who stand between chaos and order with courage in their hearts and the blue UN flag on their shoulders. We owe it to them to ensure that never again will a UN peacekeeper be placed in harm's way because of indecision, bureaucracy, or political compromise. I call on the United Nations to act decisively, to lead boldly, and to never again allow politics to endanger our peace, security, and our shared prosperity. Navalevu, Dynavad, and I thank everyone who continues to serve the peace under the most difficult conditions with faith, honor, and unshakable resolve. I thank you.
Brigadier General Gadai, thank you so much for your pertinent remarks. Up next, Major General Mereke Matibovich Kuchek-Bayev, Chief of Land Forces, Kazakhstan, will now render. Sir, please.
Уважаемые коллеги, представители государств, предоставляющие воинские контингенты в операции по поддержанию мира под эгидой ООН. Прежде всего, позвольте выразить искреннюю благодарность индийской стороне и организаторам мероприятий за возможность обсудить актуальные вопросы в сфере миротворчества. Хочу отметить, что данная площадка предоставляет уникальную возможность для обмена мнениями, а также поиска новых путей и механизмов для улучшения совместных усилий по сохранению мира. Для Казахстана участие в поддержании международного мира и безопасности является приоритетом государственной политики. И мы неизменно поддерживаем усилия ООН в данной области. К настоящему времени около 1000 казахстанских военнослужащих выполнили и продолжают выполнять свои обязательства по имплементации резолюции Совета Безопасности в 10 миссиях ООН. Казахстан также поддерживает гендерную политику ООН по обеспечению участия женщин в миротворческих операциях. В рамках реализации резолюции Совета Безопасности ООН под номером 1325 «Женщины, мир и безопасность». Миротворческая деятельность Казахстана в рамках ООН берет свое начало с 2008 года, когда были направлены первые военные эксперты в миссию ООН в Непале, далее миссии в Западной Сахаре, Кот-д'Ивуаре, Ливане, Южноафриканской Республике, Мали, Демократической Республике Конго. В целях приобретения опыта в подготовке и направлении национального контингента на миссию ООН в 2018 и 2023 годах Казахстан впервые развернул свое подразделение вместе с индийской стороной в составе временной сил ООН в Ливане. За этот период около 600 военнослужащих Казахстана получили ценнейшие практические навыки, которые стали фундаментом для формирования первого самодостаточного национального миротворческого контингента, направленного в марте 2024 года в составе сил ООН по наблюдению за разъединением на Голландских высотах. Уважаемые коллеги, хочу подчеркнуть, что на сегодняшний день Казахстан имеет возможность осуществлять полный цикл подготовки миротворцев в соответствии с требованием и стандартам ООН. В этих целях нами создан Центр миротворческих операций КАС-Центр, соответствующей инфраструктурой, учебной, материальной и технической базой, профессиональным инструкторско-преподавательским составом. Осознавая необходимость консолидации и объединения усилий, Казахстан совместно с Департаментом миротворческих операций ООН ежегодно на базе Центра КАС-Центр проводит региональный круглый стол для обсуждения перспектив взаимодействия, в том числе оказания содействия в подготовке подразделений стран Центральной Азии в рамках миротворческой деятельности ООН. Принимая во внимание текущие потребности ООН, Казахстан подтвердил свою приверженность и заявил о намерении направить специализированные миротворческие подразделения, такие как разведывательные, инженерно-саперные, мобильный госпиталь, взвод военной полиции и подразделения беспилотной летательной авиации в миссии ООН в рамках так называемых умных обязательств. Полагаем, что в условиях современных вызовов безопасности подобные хорошо обученные специализированные подразделения должны играть ключевую роль в вопросах поддержания мира и повышения эффективности миротворческих усилий ООН. Для адекватного реагирования на возникающие вызовы считаем необходимым, кроме формирования специализированных миротворческих подразделений, обратить особое внимание на создание инфраструктуры искусственного интеллекта для анализа и обработки массивных данных, что позитивно повлияет на ускорение процесса принятия эффективных решений, что отражено в так называемой концепции миротворчества 2.0 по переходу от традиционных подходов, основанных на наблюдении и сдерживании конфликта с использованием инновационных технологий, гибких стратегий и укрепления международного сотрудничества. Мы считаем, что миротворческие миссии должны сочетать как военные, так и политические и гуманитарные меры, направленные не только на предотвращение насилия, но также для устранения его первопричин. Уважаемые участники конференции, миротворческие операции ООН сегодня выходят за рамки традиционных задач, таких как ведение боевых действий и мониторинг, и охватывают гораздо более широкий спектр обязанностей. К ним относятся поддержание верховенства закона и защита прав человека, что включает обеспечение безопасности в ходе выборов в странах, поддерживающих конфликты или находящихся на постконфликтном периоде. Гуманитарная помощь и содействие восстановлению после конфликтов, что особенно важно пострадавшего населения путем усиления программы разоружения, демобилизации и реинтеграции. Реабилитация миротворцев постмиссионный период. Гуманитарное разминирование в конфликтные и постконфликтные периоды, что должно стать частью процесса миростроительства. Для успешного выполнения этих задач мандаты миротворческих миссий должны оставаться четкими, гибкими, адаптируемыми к меняющимся ситуациям, обеспечивая плавный переход от поддержания мира к мироустройству. Таким образом, миротворство ООН сталкивается с множеством вызовов, которые требуют инновационных решений, гибкости в подходах и более активного вовлечения международного сообщества. Казахстан продолжает активно поддерживать эти усилия, предлагая свои ресурсы и опыт для развития миротворческих операций в глобальном масштабе. Уверен, что наша совместная работа станет прочной основой для построения мира и стабильности в условиях меняющейся международной обстановки. Спасибо большое, благодарю за внимание.
Major General Kuchekbayev, thank you so much for your address. Colonel Kalmatayev Kumarbek Murzabekovich, the Acting Chief of the General Staff, Kyrgyzstan, request you to please address the August gathering.
Уважаемый генерал Успенов-Диведи, уважаемые участники конференции, уважаемый заместитель, прежде всего, позвольте мне от имени Министерства обороны Кыргызской Республики и от себя лично поблагодарить руководство Республики Индии и, в частности, Министерство обороны за высокий уровень организации конференции и за приглашение принять участие на данном мероприятии. Проведение этой конференции в стране, которая имеет богатый опыт участия в миротворческих миссиях ООН и весомый вклад в международное сообщество, имеет особое значение. Выражаю признательность за предоставленную возможность обсудить современные подходы к миротворчеству, имеющие ключевое значение для обеспечения мира и безопасности в современном мире. Кыргызская республика неизменно поддерживает усилия Организации Объединенных Наций по укреплению международного мира и как полноправный член международного сообщества разделяет общую ответственность за поддержание международной безопасности и стабильности. Мы рассматриваем миротворчество как один из ключевых инструментов солидарности, взаимного доверия и тесного взаимодействия государств-членов по предотвращению и урегулированию конфликтов. Кыргызстан с обретением независимости в 90-е годы, будучи сторонником глобальной и коллективной безопасности, стал одним из первых стран Центральной Азии, который направил своих офицеров и полицейских в миротворческие миссии ООН по поддержанию мира в Косово, Сьерра-Леоне, Либерию, Южный Судан и Судан. По сей день наши военнослужащие достойно выполняют задачи в миротворческих миссиях, демонстрируя высокий профессионализм, ответственность и готовность к взаимодействию в многонациональной среде. Мы гордимся тем, что наши миротворцы служат в различных уголках мира, помогая восстанавливать стабильность и защищать гражданское население. Они соответствуют самым высоким стандартам поведения и дисциплины. Министерство обороны Кыргызской Республики намерено расширить свое участие в миротворчестве, выражает готовность предоставить миротворческое подразделение и военно-полевой госпиталь второго уровня для оказания медицинской помощи в миротворческих миссиях под эгидой ООН. Данный медицинский компонент способен оказывать квалифицированную хирургическую помощь обеспечивать эвакуацию и лечение раненых, а также оказывать содействие в гуманитарных миссиях. Выражаем надежду, что это будет конкретным вкладом Кыргызстана в укрепление потенциала миротворческих операций. Уважаемые коллеги, на основе всех вышеуказанных достижений и стремлений Кыргызской Республики в реализации принципов и требований Организации Объединенных Наций Кыргызская Республика уверенно выдвинула свою кандидатуру на пост непостоянного члена Совета Безопасности ООН в 2027-2028 годах и надеется на вашу поддержку. Подтверждает свою приверженность целям и принципам Организации Объединенных Наций и будет далее вносить посильный вклад в усилия международного сообщества по обеспечению мира и стабильности. В заключение хотелось бы отметить, что конференция станет не только как площадка для обмена мнениями, но и как практический шаг к укреплению коллективного потенциала, что миротворчество не только предотвращение вооруженных конфликтов, но и создание условий для примирения и восстановления доверия между сторонами. Каждый из нас может внести свой вклад в создание более безопасного мира для будущих поколений. Спасибо за внимание.
Colonel Murzabekovich, thank you very much. And with that, Major General Sokjurgal Chingochu, the Commander of Land Force, Mongolian Armed Forces, is hereby requested to please come forward to the dais and share his thoughts. Thank you.
Ирхэм генерал офицер ноёд хаттай нараа. Монгол улсын дэвшигчнийг төлөөлөн Монгол улсын нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын энхийг дэмжих ажиллагааны оролцооны талаар та бүгдэд товчхон танилцуулга хийж байгаа нь миний хувьд нэр төрийн хэрэг юм аа. Инх тайван, доктортой байдал, олон улсын хамтын ажиллагааны үнд зүйлсийг эрхэмлэдэг Монгол улс нь дэлхийн инх тайван, аюулгүй байдлыг хангахад нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын энхийг дэмжих ажиллагааны чухал үүрэг гүйцэтгэдэг гэдгийг хүлээн зөвшөөрдөг. Тиймээс энхийг сахиулах ажиллагаа нь тусгай оролцоо, стратегийн хамтрал, шинэлэг арга барилыг шаарддаг хамтын хүчин чармаалт гэд бид итгэдэг юм аа. Монгол улсын дэвшигчнээс анх 2002 онд цэргийн 2 ажиглагч офицерыг илгээж эхэлснээс хойш одоогоор 23 жилийн турш нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын энхийг дэмжих ажиллагаанд тууштай цэрэг хандуулж байна. Одоогийн байдлаар Монгол улс нийтдээ 23,000 орчим цэргийн албаагчийг дэлхийн халуун цэгүүдэд илгээгээд байна. Үүнд Сьерра Леон, Чад, Либер, Судан, бүгд найрамд гардсан Конгос, Баруун Сахар, Өмнөд Судан, Төв Африкийн бүгд найрамд улс Йемен, Ливан, 2 Судан улсын хил дээрх Абемуж, Кипр, Этиоп, Гүрж гэх мэт улсууд орж байна. 2025 оны 10 дугаар сарын 12-ны байдлаар нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын 8 энхийг сахиулах ажиллагаанд нийт 895 цэргийн албаагч, үүнээс 124 эмэгтэй энхийг сахиулагч үүргээ нэр төрдөө биелүүлж байна. Одоогийн байдлаар дэлхийд дээр нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын 12 энхийг сахиулах ажиллагаа явагдаж байгаа бөгөөд Монгол улсын зэвсэгтүүчин Нүбийн энхийг сахиулах ажиллагаанд цэрэг илгээгч орнуудын жагсаалтанд 2025 оны 7 дугаар сарын байдлаар 19 дугаар эрэмлэгдэж байгаа нь Монгол улсын хүн ам, зэвсэгтүүчний боломж, хүний нөөцийн чадвартай харьцуулахад чамралгаагүй үзүүлэх гэж бид үздэг юм аа. Монгол улсын зэвсэгтүүчин үүрэг гүйцэтгэх штабын офицер, ахлагч, цэргийн ажиллагч, холбогч офицеруудын тоо өссөн бөгөөд одоогоор 4 ажиллагаанд 46 цэргийн албаагч бие даан үүрэг гүйцэтгэж байна. Нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагад цэрэг хандуулах чадварыг бэхжүүлэх, сургах талаар Монгол улс энхийг сахиулагчдыг хүний эрх, гендерийн тэгш байдал, соёлын мэдрэмжтэй байдлыг чухалчиж, нарийн төвөгтэй үүрэг даалгавар сайтар бэлтгэж сургахад анхаардаг. Үүний жишээ нь хааны эрэлд олон улсын энхийг дэмжих ажиллагааны сургалтыг жил бүр Монгол улс зохион байгуулж, дэлхийн олон улсуудаас уг дадлага сургууль цэргүүдэд оролцуулж байна. Мөн нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын сурагч багшийн дамжаа, нүүбийн ажиглагч болон штабын офицерын дамжаануудыг тогтмол зохион байгуулсаар байна. Инхи дэмжих ажиллагааны цэргийн багийг илгээх оролцуулах ирээдүйн зорилтын талаар Монгол улсын зэвсэг түвшин урт болон дунд хугацааны бодлого болон Монгол улсын батлан хамгаалах сайдын чиглэлийн дагуу нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын инхийг сахиулах ажиллагаанд оролцоог өргөжүүлэхээр ажиллаж байна. Монгол улсын зэвсэг түвшний дараах 4 салбарыг нүүбийн инхийг сахиулах ажиллагааны бэлэн байдлын системд бүртгүүлсэн. Одоо бүгд энэ системийн бэлэн байдлын 2 дугаар түвшинд байгаа билээ. Нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын инхийг сахиулах ажиллагааны 2 дугаар шатны эмнэлгийн цэргийн багийг оролцуулахаар бэлтгэж бэлэн байдлын түвшинг ахиулах ажиллагаанд илгээх саяхан бид нүүбийн инхийг сахиулах ажиллагааны газраас 2 дугаар шатны эмнэлгийн бэлэн байдлын түвшинг нүүбийн инхийг сахиулах ажиллагааны бэлэн байдлын системийн ажиллагаанд илгээх бэлэн буюу бэлэн байдлын 4 дугаар түвшинд ахиулах урилга хүлээж авсан. Одоогоор холбогдох материалыг илгээн бэлтгэл ажлыг хангаж байна. Нүүбийн инхийг сахиулах ажиллагаанд түргэн байрлах хүчний ороотыг оролцуулах, техник хэрэгслийг бүрдүүлэх, төвшинг ахиулах ажиллагаанд оролцуулахаар бэлтгэж байна. Мөн инженерийн ороотыг оролцуулахаар бэлэн байдал бэлтгэлийг ханган ажиллаж байна. Цаашдаа Монгол улсын зэвсэг түвшин нэгдсэн үндэсний байгууллагын инхийг сахиулах ажиллагаанд оролцоог хадгалан олсон амжилтаа баттгаж эрчимжүүлэхээр мэрэгжүүлэх чиглэлийг баримтлан ажиллана. Мөн нүүбийн инхийг сахиулагчдыг сургаж бэлдэх замаар хувь нэрээ оруулах болно. Монгол улс инх тайван тогтвортой байдалд олон улсын хамтын ажиллагааны үндэсний үнд зүйлд нийлүүлэн инхийг сахиулах үйл ажиллагаагаар дамжуулан дэлхийн инх тайван аюулгүй байдалд бодиттой хувь нэмэр оруулахыг зорж ажиллах болно. Баярлалаа та бүхэндээ. Thank you.
Major General Trim Gochu, thank you very, very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, because of the timely arrival of the Honorable Defence Minister of India, we will pause the plenary 1 right now. In fact, the plenary 2, the second plenary, begins with the address from the commander of the Sri Lankan Army. And with that, we will once again thank all our speakers for forging a nuanced and, may I say, a shared understanding of the complex operational realities in peacekeeping missions. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a short break. We will request the respected chiefs and heads of delegations and principal staff officers of the Indian Army to now join for a group photograph with the Honorable Defence Minister of India in the foyer in some time from now. The rest of our guests may please proceed to the Zorawar Hall as we await the presence of the Honorable Defence Minister of India for the keynote address. The Honorable Defence Minister address begins at 11:10 a.m. Thank you. We may now please disperse.